Hello, everybody. I'm a practicing therapist and a doctoral student of psychology. Today, we're going to talk about signs you're too lenient to an avoidant. Now, this is really about your perspective, and it can be challenging to pinpoint. So, it's really not something that I can just make a video very specific about. So, if you feel like this fits you, but you don't feel like you're being lenient, that's for you to decide. I'm just sharing information to help any individual, and this is not necessarily a bad thing. If your partner overall is changing and you're trying to change, the reason why this can help is because you being too lenient might block healing for both of you guys, and so you can kind of challenge these areas or see where you can afford to be less lenient about. That's the overall goal of this video. It's not to pick on anyone or say the relationship is harmful or horrible. I don't know. I'm not in your relationship. I'm just making a video. And so that's what we're going to actually talk about today. The first one I think is really important, and the reason I brought this video up is because I see this in couples therapy, and you can see that the person overall is not always like this. They almost felt like they got pushed into this role. And of course that was addressed, etc. But this happens a lot. It's not even one specific case. You feel like you have to resort to games and other tactics to get their attention. And this happens for a couple of reasons. The main reason is because you feel like you're letting them, you don't call them out often about the things that they do. And so you feel really suffocated and controlled and frustrated because you're not getting your needs, because you're not speaking up, or they're not taking it seriously because of the way you're saying it. And I'm not blaming you. Some avoidants, no matter what you say, they won't do it. And then if that's the case, you have to evaluate if the relationship is healthy for you. Because if this is happening, it's not healthy for your mental health. If you feel like you have to resort to games and other tactics to get their attention continuously, couples do this sometimes, but continuously, that's where the issue might be. You're too lenient, or you need to look at what the relationship is actually doing for you. But if it is that you're too lenient, that might be a better and easier fix than actually leaving, depending on the relationship. And so try to evaluate what are areas that you feel like you're not speaking up. If you or your partner had this like blowout fight, pretty common, right? And you guys crashed out, you guys are not as healed, and then now you guys are on this like gridlock type of situation where neither of you want to apologize, and maybe the conversations are really short and you're kind of avoiding what just happened and you're pretending like it didn't happen, but you can tell both people are mad and no one's saying anything. This is kind of silly, right? Now, if you guys are trying to move on and you agreed to that, that's different. But if you guys are still both mad, you guys are like, I don't know, a little spiteful and not saying anything, that's, to me, that sounds like a game. Now, I don't know if I'm explaining that properly, but that's what I see it as. And so if you feel like you have to do this to get their attention, this moment right here, speak up. Even if they're not speaking up, it doesn't matter what they're doing, because your mental health is what carries you for this life. Even if this relationship doesn't work out, you can carry these things to your next relationship, right? And so that's what's really important. Speak up and say, I know that we had a fight last week. I feel like you're still upset about it based on, X, Y, and Z, some of the things that you said, and I'm feeling this way because of A, B, C. I want to talk about it, and I just want to resolve it and move on, but I don't want us to be in this space where we're not comfortable with each other just because we're mad. I want to talk about it. So that's an example. The next one is you find yourself saying they should know better, or I always feel like I have to give in. I get that. And a lot of people feel like this when they're in a relationship with an avoidant. However, how often are you saying this? How often are you feeling this way? This is a moment where you bring it up. It doesn't mean you have to wait until they say something. You say something. Even if they don't react properly, you saying something shows them that you are a person who deserves respect because you respect yourself. Mention that, I felt really frustrated that, let's say, your son did something at school and then you had to pick them up, and something with the children, whatever. And let's say your avoidant is a husband and he didn't help you at all. You had to deal with all the stressors at work, all the things with the teachers, all the paperwork, whatever it is, and you didn't appreciate that. And you feel like maybe they should know better because they're the, father, or whatever it is. Or I always have to give in. I just have to suck it up and do it because, my partner doesn't help with, anything, household chores or with the children. Say something. I know it sounds easier said than done because you're afraid they're going to get mad, or maybe they never react well, but at least say, you know what? You don't even have to expect something. You can say, you know what? I have been dealing with our son and I feel like you didn't help. And I feel confused, I feel frustrated, and I don't even know if you're going to take this well, but I want to say this for my own peace of mind. I feel like you could have helped me, and the fact that you didn't, that makes me feel a type of way. We don't even have to talk about it. I'm just telling you how I feel. right? So that's an example. The next one is you tend to make excuses for your partner. I will say, to be honest, based on the comments, I don't think you guys do this. A lot of you guys don't do this. A lot of you guys are pretty balanced mentally with this. Actually, a lot of you guys are pretty, I feel like you guys know what you're doing a lot, to be honest. But you don't make excuses, but you still know their flaws. That's the way to balance this one. Yeah, they're a difficult person, whatever it is, you still want to be with them. Good. That's your choice. But don't make excuses and say, oh, this person was traumatized, they didn't have a mom. Sure, I can appreciate that, but they're also an adult. And you want to hold them accountable and you want to hold yourself accountable so that you don't get resentful of them. Keep the spaces open, okay? The next one is the change has been slow or not noticeable on your end and you haven't said anything. This is really frustrating because change happens and it is very slow. Even couples who are in therapy with me, the change is slow for some of them because a lot of times people don't like being told what to do, even if that's not what's happening. I have some couples where it's like, it can be something so small. Let's say the wife says, I feel like you're not, you don't express yourself. And the husband might crash out and be like, what do you mean? I feel like I express myself all the time. I don't like that you say that. I pride myself on someone who's very emotionally expressive and emotionally aware. And he just, let's say in this example, he just took it all the way when she was just saying, like, basically, I would like you to express yourself more. And if she said it like that, maybe he didn't crash out as much. But it's difficult because she feels like she always has to, cater to his emotions or his triggers. And part of that is true. But I think that if the change is not noticeable, she can say, in this example, I agree that you have some of those characteristics, but I feel like what I mean is you don't tell me the things that's bothering you and I can tell you're irritated, I can tell you're shut down. I just wish you told me a little bit. To me, that change would be very meaningful and I'm expecting that someday. At least that's what I want. And so expressing that you want a certain change can help, depending. But if you really feel like the change is not happening at all, no matter what you do, that's something for you to evaluate. So what can you do? Communicate clearly what you want without resorting to games. We talked about that. Take time to evaluate what you are willing to wait on and what you feel like you can't wait anymore. That's for you to decide. I can't do that for you. And nobody can. No one should. The next one is evaluate logically as possible what truly has changed in a positive way from your partner and yourself. What for the relationship? Because the relationship, is it more stable? Do you guys talk a little bit more about emotions? Are you more open with each other? Those are things that I feel like is important, not just for you and your partner. Evaluate the relationship. I think that's a little bit more important. And then with all that information gathered, evaluate if you want to stay or leave. That's important. And even happy couples evaluate if they want to stay and leave, but it's so subconscious they don't even realize they're doing it. It's okay to be more aware that you're doing it. So let's summarize. These are the signs that you're too lenient, and then we're going to summarize what to do. You resort to games and tactics to get their attention or some sort of reaction because you don't feel like you don't know what else to do. You find yourself saying they should know better, or I always end up having to give in. You tend to make excuses for your partner, and the change has been slow and not noticeable on your end, and that creates frustration. And so what do? You communicate clearly what you need without resorting to games. No matter what, even if they're playing all the games in the world, that's their mental health. Protect your mental health. Don't resort to games. Communicate. The next one is take time to evaluate what you're willing to wait on and what you feel you can't wait anymore. Evaluate logically as possible what you truly believe has changed for yourself, your partner in a positive way, and for the relationship. And then with all that information gathered, evaluate if you want to stay or leave. I hope this video is helpful to somebody. Please like, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.